Okay, so today we are finishing up graphs of sines and cosines. This time we are having a phase shift. This is what happens when there is something inside parentheses with my x. It's either going to move the graph left or right, opposite the sign. So number one wants me to graph two full periods of 1/2 sine x minus pi thirds. So what is my amplitude here? What about my period? Is there anything in front of my x? No. So it's just going to be a standard period of 2 pi. And then I have a phase shift. This is the new part. This is the number added or subtracted opposite the sign. So opposite of that is going to be positive pi thirds. And remember how in the past we were starting at 0 when we started our key points? This pi thirds is now my starting value for key points. Okay, so now I need to figure out my key values. So I'm going to take my period and divide by 4. So I'm counting by pi halves. So I'm going to start at pi thirds. What is pi thirds plus pi halves? So if I don't remember, I can get rid of the pi's, and on my calculator I can type 1/3 plus 1/2. And then I turn it back into a fraction, which is 5 pi 6. Then I want to keep adding pi halves, so I'm going to add a half again. Turn it back into a fraction, which gets me 4 pi thirds. And then add a half again. Turn it back into a fraction. Gets me 11 pi 6. Add a half again. Turn it back into a fraction. I get 7 pi thirds. Okay, so then I want to go ahead and label this. I'm going to count every other square. So this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 1/2 for my amplitude. And then how do I want to count for my scale? I'm going to count by 2 pi thirds. No, 2 pi 6 I meant. No, because they're not, yeah, they're not evenly split up. Because I wanted them all to have the same denominator, so I can graph them on there. Because I can't just use my key values on this one because I'm no longer starting at 0. So the spacing between 0 and my first point isn't the same as my first point and my second point. What? Say that again? No, it still says 0, but pi thirds is the same thing as 2 pi 6. 4 pi thirds is the same thing as 8 pi 6. And then this one is the same thing as 14 pi 6. I didn't simplify it so I could still have my 6 at 6. And then I'll be able to easily tell where my halves are. Because it's a lot easier to plot a point in between two than to like guesstimate like a third. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug these into my calculator. I'm going to be plugging into my originally, it's 1/2. Where did I get that 3 from? So I'm going to be typing in 1/2. And the first value I'm plugging in is pi thirds. What does this get us? 0. So a plot right there. Point right there. Then I'm going to plug in my second point. Where did I get the parentheses in the wrong spot? Okay, so what does this one get me? 1/2. And then that was 5 pi 6, so that's in between 4 and 6 pi 6. Then I'm going to do my next value, which is 4 pi thirds. Which gets us 0. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my next value, which is 11 pi 6. Which gets us what? -1/2. So right here. And then I'm going to do 1/2 sine 7 pi thirds minus pi thirds. Yeah. I could, but I just wrote it out that way so it'd be easier for when I was like looking for my like 5 pi 6, I could see which values it was between. Okay. And then this last one, which value do I get? 0, which I apologize is a little bit off this graph. So then I want to go ahead and connect these points. And then this question was asking for 2 full periods. So that means it wants 2 of these curves. So I just need to go backwards and make sure I have 2 of these. So every line and a half. I'm in for tutoring. Okay, so number 3. Same idea, except what's different about this one? Yeah, the multiplication is different, and then this. Okay, 2 in front of the x, and what else? There was one more different thing. Yeah. So it's going to reflect across which axis? Yes. Okay. What is my amplitude? Amplitude? What's my number up front? When we're talking about amplitude, we always use the absolute value. So just 3. Okay. Then my period here is what? So this one I take 2 pi and I divide by 2. So it just gives me pi. Nope. Nope, across is not supposed to be there twice. Just once. The black camera started freezing when I was writing, and so then, like, I was just more focused on it being frozen, and not what I was writing. No, that's for your key points. My x has a 2 out front, that's why I divided by a 2. For period. Because you always take this number, and that's what I'm dividing by right here. Okay, so then for my key points, wait, I forgot phase shift. So what is my negative 4 pi? Remember, opposite the sign. And then my key points, or key values. I'm going to take my period and divide by 4. So I'm counting by pi fourths. So if I start at negative 4 pi, I want to add 1/4 to that. So if I'm doing this on the calculator, I do negative 4 plus 1 divided by 4. I take out the pi's, so the calculator will turn it back into a fraction for me. Oops. And then I go math, enter, answer, which gives me negative 15/4. So I write that as negative 15 pi fourths.
Why is it 15?
That's what the calculator told me. I just did negative 4 plus 1/4, because I have to start at my phase shift, and then I add my key value, which is 1/4. So then I want to add 1/4 again, and then I turn it back into a fraction. This one gives me negative 7 pi halves. I add 1/4 again. This gives me negative 13 pi fourths. And then I add 1/4 one final time, and it gives me negative 3 pi. Huh? This one we're counting by fourths. Oh, on the graph? Yeah, let's count by halves.
Why would you bring that up there? That's like the worst decision that you could ever possibly mentally like. Why? Wait, isn't that like that had that ragtime song?
Okay, so guys, quiet down. What can't you read? Negative 3 pi halves? Negative pi halves? Probably. Okay, so then I want to go ahead and plug into my equation. Okay, so what do I get when I plug this one in? Okay. Negative 5 pi halves. Positive 3. Okay. So that was this one. Oh, I forgot to label my y-axis. Negative 3? Okay. Okay. So same thing for my next value, which is negative 15 pi fourths. Okay, 0. This one is going to be in between the negative 4 pi and the negative 7 pi halves. Then I want to plug in the negative 7 pi halves. Okay. This one gets us positive 3. Negative. Okay, then I want to do the same thing for negative 13 pi-4. Okay, so this gets us 0. This is in between negative 7 pi-halves and negative 3. And then I'm going to plug in my final one, which is negative 3 pi. Which gets us negative 3. Okay, so I connect those points. Then I just want to, it wants 2 full periods again, so I want to go back and complete this pattern.
Can you give me the
Yeah, let me put that up really quick. So repeating this is going to give me every half of the x-axis. I am moving the dot. So it's going to look like that. So for number 5, what is my amplitude? What number is right in front of the word cosine? Then my period. Yeah, it's going to be pi because I take 2 pi and divide by the 2 in front of the x. And then notice this one has a 2 that isn't part of anything. This is a vertical shift of 2. So that means all of my y values are going to go up by 2. So my amplitude, so on this one I'm going to count by 2s when I mark my axis. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I'll have negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8. Then I want to find my key values. So I am going to start at 0 because I don't have a phase shift. And then, oops, this is going to be pi divided by 4. So I'm going to keep adding pi-4s. So that's what I'm going to go label my axis by. Then I want to go ahead and plug these in. Oh, it's because of the vertical shift, yeah. It's going to move things up, so I need more up. I kind of like use it as a baseline, so I added 2 to 3 to get 5. And since I needed to go to 5, but there was only 4 tick marks, I counted by 2. So what do I get when I plug this into the calculator? What? 5. So then I'm going to go do the same thing for pi fourths. What does this get me? Two. Then I'm going to go plug in pi halves. Negative, are you sure? Yeah, -1. Okay, then I want to plug in 3 pi fourths. Two. And pi. Okay. So then I just connect my points. And then again, because I want two full periods, I'm going to go a little bit to the left.